the Baltimore Ravens, guys, bar none, superior, right? We talked about the Colts last week, how their starters are up here and their secondary is like way down here. The Baltimore Ravens are starters, secondary, third string, all boom, 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 right? Their third stringers could be starters on any other team. They have a lot of depth in the secondary, and as Ravens fans, you guys are going to need it. Everybody needs depth. I'm not saying just you guys in general, but teams in general need depth in the secondary, because when somebody goes down, you can't have that big drop off. Because when you have that big drop off, teams like the Buffalo Bills, teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, hell, teams like the Houston Texans are going to expose that weakness. Eddie Jackson is a phenomenal player. The whole secondary is phenomenal. And who is the Baltimore secondary coach? I have no idea. I have no idea who the secondary coach is. But he's doing something right. They're getting all the right players and all the right pieces in the right spots. They doing something right. Let's just be flat and honest. Cerebral gas, wherever the F that is. Sounds like a lot of KC fans, wimps. Listen, John. Every man out there, speaking for every man out there, when we're sick, we're dying. Okay? When we're sick, we dying. We dying. But speaking of linemen, John says that tackle they have is pretty good if he gets jumped up and pass block and feedable. The Baltimore Ravens offensive linemen will have 3 new starters this season. 3 new starters for the Baltimore Ravens offensive line. Now, if you are a pigskin pundit, we talked about this on Sunday. When I was prepping for this show, we were going through the list of the offensive of line starters. I had no idea that they lost 3, right? I'm like, oh, shit. This might affect some of my picks moving forward. I mean, I already had the picks, but, the finalized pick coming up in 2 weeks here might change that a little bit. We're looking at the offensive lineman, Roger Rosengardner. Roger Rosengardner. He was a second-round draft pick from the University of Washington. Played with Michael Penix Jr. on that playoff run team. And at first glance, this guy was a really, really good player. We were watching his highlight tape, guys, if you were a pigskin pundit. We were watching his highlight tape. We were watching it. First couple minutes, man, he was a beast. Great drop step, moving the defensive end out. But then, once we got later in highlight tape, I want to emphasize highlight tape. Number 9 from Michigan State, I believe it was Jalen somebody, sophomore. He's going to be a beast. Going to have to look up his name again in a couple years when he's in the league. He is. This Rosengardner guy started to get a little sloppy. This number 9 for Michigan State guy tried to do a little hip flip on him, right? Wasn't successful, but got the lineman up on 1 foot, and he was hanging on for dear life. But people like T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, Hendrickson, they might make chop liver of this guy. So, guys, one of the biggest concerns if I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan going into the 2024 NFL season is your offensive line. Obviously, you still got Stanley there. Stanley is a staple of your offensive line. If he's healthy, he is by far one of the best guys out there, right? Linderbaum, pretty good. But the rest of the guys out there, watch out. If the Baltimore Ravens offensive line can come together and look like a damn good offensive line that they could potentially be. Look out. Look out. James Frank is in the chat. Says Cleveland's secondary is better. So on the surface, Cleveland's secondary might look better. Their starters versus Baltimore Raven starters could be a 1A, 1B. I will give you that. Let's say Cleveland is a 1A and Baltimore Ravens are second. But then you add the depth factor in, James. If Who was the safety for the Browns that they picked up from the Kansas City Chiefs? Was it Ward? I believe it was Ward. Let me correct myself. I've been looking at a lot of names lately. I want to get the name correct. I don't want you guys to get twisted. Thornhill. I'm sorry. Thornhill and Ward. I guess Ward is on there, but Ward wasn't from the Chiefs. But once you go past Warren and Thornhill and anybody else on the starter, the backups in Cleveland are not superior than the Baltimore Ravens secondary or second stringers. Look at third stringers. Ravens by far better than the Cleveland Browns third stringers. So starters could be neck and neck, right? Where the Baltimore Ravens surpass everybody in the secondary class is the second stringers and the third stringers because there's no fall off. Secondary is just as good as the starters. Third stringers are just as good as the second stringers, which is just as good as the starters. It is what it is.